All right, hanging out with Ezra of Vampire Weekend, the Grammy nominated, I should say.
Oh, thank you.
That is probably the biggest thing that has changed since the last time we saw you.
Yeah, that was it was pretty exciting. I mean, you can't get too hyped about it, because who knows, but it was nice.
Do you feel a need to be overly polite about it? Like in terms of do you have to almost overcompensate because it is this high honor, but how does it actually materialize in your everyday life?
Yeah, I don't know about being I mean, I'm definitely kind of something of a pessimistic person. But so when people were calling me the day of oh, how do you feel? And the first thought was, I'm glad we're not nominated.
Right.
Because then I'd be thinking about it. So yeah, I felt a sigh of relief.
Right.
know?
Isn't it funny though, as an artist, you put your best foot forward, whether it's every song, whether it's every album, and then whether it's popular culture, whether it's the critics or the Academy in this instance, they just decide that they're going to champion this body of work. Mm-hmm. Is it almost tough at times to internalize a praise of a Grammy nomination? Do you know what I mean? To marry the two? Because I'm sure you love, the new record and all these great songs as much as you love all the records you've ever made.
Yeah, no, I love all four, and I feel equally strongly about them. But I guess it's the way I think about it is it's kind of cool that each record gets to accomplish something different. So for this album to get nominated for Album of the Year, we've never been nominated in one of the televised categories before. So I was kind of all right, well, that's something special for this album. I guess probably if you had 4 kids, you'd probably be oh, that one did this and that one did that. Every album needs their little special thing.
When you think back to 2019, and really, I'd like to ask you about the decade because I mean, this has been quite the decade and quite the journey for you.
Yeah.
What are some highlights when you think back to the 2010s?
Oh, the 2010s. Well, I found out today, according to Spotify, my most streamed artist of the decade was the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
So shout out to them.
Surprising or not surprising?
It's not surprising just because they have so much music. Because they have all the live albums on Spotify,
right.
So there's more to listen to.
A lot of minutes there.
Yeah, there's a lot of minutes, exactly. When I think about the 2010s, I mean, even though we haven't been that prolific, we did release 3 albums in the 2010s, in at the buzzer, because we got the 2010, 2013, and 2019. So, of course, releasing all the albums was a high point. I mean, the past, thing in terms of the band, the past year, playing the Garden for the first time, that's huge for a band from New York. Yeah, I mean, those are it. I think of everything in terms of the albums. It helps me remember when things happened.
I heard you say in a really great sit-down interview you did with an Australian publication, maybe a radio station, about you jokingly said that music is a profession that you always want to quit.
Uh-huh.
And maybe you said it in jest, but when was the last time you thought about quitting music?
I haven't thought about quitting it that much in the past few months, but you always think about, but I still stand by that because I feel like it's such a privilege to get to be a professional musician that you have to think of it as this lucky hobby thing. If you start to think of it as a job, well, anybody who has a job deserves job security. Except musicians don't really, because you're lucky that you get to do it for a certain period of time. So I always try to think of it as it's this lucky hobby. There's no real job security other than producing music that connects with the fans. I have to think about it that way.
So let's fast forward late January, early February. You're sitting there at the Grammys in Los Angeles, and they say, Father of the Bride, Album of the Year. What's the first thought that's going to go through your mind?
First thought on my mind is Lana Del Rey fans are going to be mad. That's the first thing that I would think of. And then I'd probably be oh, yeah, what do I say? I'd try to say there really are great albums in that category. So I feel whatever happens, even if we lose, we're in good company with Bon Iver, Ariana Grande. It's hard to predict this year. I'll just be shocked,
Yeah. Do you have any predictions on where music is going to go in the 2020s? You're somebody that listens to everything. I think that category alone is a very eclectic category.
Where's music gonna go? That's a good question. I really don't know. Yeah, I truly have no idea. I wonder if there's gonna be more. It does seem like there's a little guitar music thing happening. Mm-hmm. guitar music's been severely on the ropes, but there's a lot of interesting things happening with that. So, you know, I always keep my eye on that, what's happening in the world of guitar. So I could see I don't think it's ever going to rule the culture again, which is fine. But I think I could see more and more of like a resurgence of like people who want to just like perform instruments live,
Yeah.
you know?